All right. Now, can you hear me, Fabio and Antonio and the others? All right. So let's see if Xavier and Archie can hear me then.
I can hear you loud and clear, Anton.
Yeah, I
Yes,
can.
all right. So it is not me, Antonio and Fabio. If you can't hear me, please maybe try and rejoin again. So I've sent a link to our group messages on LinkedIn. That's the live one. Try and do that, please. Rightio, let's get cracking now. This is, what are we still doing? Oh, my lords. Let me just, we sign out and back on. Yes, let's try that. Oh, boy. Okay, so hopefully they'll find a way, these chaps, to work it out. We're going to be here for the next 54 minutes, trying to help founders with whatever questions you may have in terms of your fundraising journey. There are no wrong questions, and there's no need to be shy. I've got 4 amazing panelists with us today who've been there and done it, both fundraising experts, but also investors. In terms of your questions today, by the way, they can be on anything to do with fundraising, whether you want to know when's the right time to fundraise, how much you should ask for, who should you go to, how do you get your pitch deck done, how do you prepare for a, let's say, a due diligence, how do you do your data room and all that jazz. Again, there are no wrong questions and no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. Now, just a quick reminder, if you are on our live streams, whether that's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, please bear in mind that unfortunately we are unable to monitor your questions live. So what you'll need to do if you want to ask our panelists, you'll need to come here on Microsoft Teams, which is audio only, by the way, and that means you can tune in from anywhere via any platform or device. The best way to do that, it's either to go onto our website, which is startuptoscaleup.club. So again, startuptoscaleup.club. You scroll down a little bit and you'll find today's session, which is Startup Fundraising Q&A 161. You click join. It's a quick registration on Luma, and there you'll find today's link. If you can't access that, there should be links on all of our live streams. And by the way, today, we are also live streaming on Twitter/X. So whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or X, or what it used to be called as Twitter, again, bear in mind that we are unable to monitor your questions there live. If you do want to ask us anything, again, please make sure that you come back to our session here on Microsoft Teams. It's audio only. Once you've done that, all you have to do is drop your question in the chat. We'll give you the mic, then you introduce yourself and fire away with your question. If your questions today are not on fundraising, please save them for the other conversations we run. Mondays, it's talent. Tuesdays, product and tech. Wednesdays, growth. Thursdays, fundraising. Second Friday of each month, it's UK startup law. Third Friday of each month, it's UK startup finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. They're all available on our site, startuptoscaleup.club. And you can register to any future sessions you like. And actually, when you're on our site, there's also a WhatsApp icon at the top and bottom of the site that you can click and join our community. We've got some amazing groups of founders, investors, operators, and of course, our second to none panelists. And by the way, speaking of panelists, we've had about 290,000 people that have tuned into our session so far. And obviously none of that would have happened without people like Fabio, Xavier, Archie, and Antonio. So if these chaps want to drop their LinkedIn URLs in the chat, please feel free to do so. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, then that is totally cool as well. And they can do that obviously via the well, via your LinkedIn URLs. Now, here's what we're going to do today. As always, the agenda is very straightforward. Quick introductions, then I'll ask the panelists for their do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage fundraising. And then we will get some questions from the founders in terms of how to fundraise for your business. So without further ado, my name's Anton Call. I'm an Albanian in London working with startups normally right after they get investment. I embed within their teams and help them hire and keep the right people. I also do some growth advisory work with a few other startups and accelerators, and I help some angels and family offices with their due diligence and assessment. Perhaps if we can go to Dav, and then Archie, and then Antonio, and then Fabio, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Xavier Ballister. I'm a director over at Angel Investment Network. We've been around for 21 years now. We've developed 40 networks of angel investors across 90 countries. My little team within the company has been going for 10 years. We work on 2 seed stage companies per week and actively go out and help them find money. The most we've raised in a round is 1.5 million. Average raise is probably somewhere between 300 and 400. We're totally sector agnostic. Yeah, we like seed stages where there's already a bit of traction in the market.
Hi, Archie Thomason here from Varesco Group. We are an agri-food specialist investment platform looking at Australasian farmland. Currently, we're just coming to a close of our close of the fundraise for our first maiden fund. That is focusing on beef production, all the way from breeding all the way down to finishing of livestock. Currently at around $110 million. My background previously was at a venture capital fund, helping supporting the running of the British Innovation Fund, so spin-outs from UK universities in climate tech, a bit of healthcare, and then most predominantly of my work has been in the agri-food industry, so looking at improving the sustainable qualities of, well, food production as a whole.
Antonio, can you hear me? Are you audible now?
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Buddy.
Oh, finally. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Anton. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Antonio. I'm one of the managing partner of Field Venture. We have Field Venture is an early stage venture capital firm based in London. We invest across 4 different sectors: energy, healthcare, manufacturing, and e-commerce. So companies that have already a little bit of traction, a little bit of market product fit, and we only invest in companies that have at least one Italian founder. But we have been also active angel investors in the UK for the past 15 years. So we also invest besides the fund in things that don't include Italians. I've also been a mentor in different accelerators across Europe, and I generally like to help founders coming up and bringing their new ideas to life.
Thank you very much. Fabio, are you audible? Can you hear us? Oh, poor Fabio. I think we keep losing Fabio. Let me try again, Fabio. Where are you? Okay, let me see. Oh, we completely lost Fabio. Okay, well, that's not very cool. Hopefully he'll be able to join us soon. Maybe we can get onto some do's and don'ts until hopefully Fabio joins us. What would you say? I'm sure you've seen some horrible stuff out there, but also beautiful things. So perhaps if we can start with Xavier again, and then Archie, and then Antonio, please. If we can think of one do and one don't each, and let's not use the same logic for both, please. Xavier?
Before you start your raise, before you start going to investors, I say this every time, be investor ready. Have everything set up. have your data room, have your various decks checked. Also, you know, show your deck to someone who doesn't understand your business, so that they can detect for jargon, all that kind of stuff. It should tell a nice, easy story. And don't try and lie about anything. Don't try and big up facts. Investors will do their due diligence. And if you started making things up to try and look good in that room when you're first pitching, they will find it, and then it will come crashing down. So transparency and be ready.
I'm afraid, Anton, I'm going to go for a similar logic there. My do was going to be, be as transparent as possible. Couldn't agree more with Xavier. The investors can certainly sense when a startup, there may be a different reasoning behind why something's happened, why you've got to come to some conclusion, why you may have pivoted. And so be as transparent as possible. That doesn't mean necessarily going to all the details on if you've got a bit of IP, etc., technology, just on what has led you to the point in time where you are at the moment. As a result, it builds trust, and in the long term, that's what you want. You want a long-term relationship with your investor. Don't expect to raise in a few months, 6 months. As a result, so this sort of becomes a do as well. Be as prepared as possible. Take at least 12 months. It may happen in 3 for your raise. It may happen in 18, but always prep for the worst case scenario.
Yes, I would add on the do, try to go have a conversation with your potential investor in order to create empathy. So because you're a very early stage companies, you don't have a lot to offer. You don't have a validated product. Sometimes it's just an idea on a piece of paper. So try to engage the investor in a meaningful way, in a way that it's not only about what you're gonna do in the future and the massive profits you're gonna make with your company, but try to get him on board, and don't be scared to also to talk about what you need to get to a successful outcome of your venture, and then that will result, especially with angel investors, in more concrete investors. So investors that will bring you more value than just giving you the money, but also give you connections and maybe help you in the areas where you need it the most. Don't is probably very, very straightforward, but don't spam everyone that is labeled as investor. Investor is a quite broad category, so try to find and look for the investors that could be suitable for your projects. So try to do your due diligence on venture capital firms. If you're raising less than $500,000, there are going to be very few VCs that will invest in that round. So maybe focus more on angel investors. It's a job in itself, fundraise. So don't just go and think that whoever is an investor has some money spare to put in your company. It's something that every investor has its own logic. So if you do the exercise of finding the right investor before reaching out to him, it's a little bit more work at the beginning, but it's probably going to be more efficient and probably will shorten the time that Archie was saying before when you do a fundraise.
And thank you very much, gentlemen. Really appreciate that. Right, quick reset of the conversation before we go on to some questions. This is Startup Fundraising Q&A 161. We're going to be live for another 40 minutes, where I've got 3 brilliant gentlemen who've been there and done it, taking questions from founders on anything to do with fundraising for your business. There are no wrong questions, and there's no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. For those of you that are here on Microsoft Teams, all you have to do is drop your question in the chat. We'll then give you the mic and you can start and ask your question. Do start with introducing yourself, please, and then fire away with whatever you want some clarity or ideas on. In terms of what kind of questions you can ask today on fundraising, they can really be on anything related to that. So whether you want to know about how to reach out to investors, or maybe when's a good time, or perhaps whether you should go for investment or crowdfunding or VC or a grant, or maybe how to prepare your pitch deck or data room, or maybe you want to ask about valuations, how to spread equity, how to prepare for due diligence, how to apply for grants, where to find the right angel investors, or maybe corporate VCs and all that jazz. Again, there are no wrong questions and there's no need to be shy. Please drop your question in the chat. We'll then give you the mic and you can ask the panelists. For those of you that are on the live streams, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter/X, please bear in mind that unfortunately we are unable to monitor your questions there live. So if you want to ask our team anything, you'll need to go onto our website, startuptoscaleup.club. Again, the website, it's startuptoscaleup.club. You scroll down a little bit, you'll find today's session, which is Startup Fundraising Q&A 161. Click join, a quick registration on Luma, and there you'll find today's link. Once you've done that, then you'll easily get onto our call here on Microsoft Teams, because it's audio only, and it means you can tune in from anywhere via any platform or device. And it doesn't matter whether you're perhaps walking your dog in Surrey, or cooking lunch in Glasgow, or maybe eating lunch in Liverpool, or maybe working from an office, a shared office in Shoreditch, or I don't know, changing baby nappies in Bristol. You can join from anywhere via any platform or device. Once you're here, simply drop your question in the chat and we'll give you the mic. By the way, if you've got questions that are not related to fundraising, please save them for the other conversations we run. On Mondays, it's talent. On Tuesdays, it's product and tech. On Wednesdays, it's growth. On Thursdays, fundraising. Second Friday of each month, UK startup law. And third Friday of each month is UK startup finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. They're all available on our website, startuptoscaleup.club. And when you're there, also register and join our WhatsApp community. We've got some amazing groups of founders, investors, operators, our panelists, and so on. And on our side, basically, there's a WhatsApp icon at the top and bottom of the site that you can join. But without further ado, we'll go on to our first question, and then I will unmute Helen to go for her second question, and so on. Remember, we've only got time until 1 p.m., so that's 37 minutes, and believe you me, that time goes way faster than we'd like to. So I'll read this question for the live streams, but obviously the investors and fundraising experts on the panel can refer to the question in the chat, because I'll put that in the chat as well. So this is an AI for fraud detection in fintech. They're based in Manchester. The stage is that they're currently preparing for Series A, and basically they're trying to negotiate vesting schedules with institutional investors. So the question is, we're an AI fraud detection startup preparing for Series A with institutional investors. She's put in brackets, based on some initial conversations we've had so far, these institutional investors want accelerated vesting if certain milestones aren't met. How can we structure balanced vesting schedule that offers protection to both founders and investors, potentially including partial acceleration? Are there standard protections in the UK fintech vesting agreements that we should consider? That's an interesting one, and that could also be quite good for next Friday if you want to join us with our lawyers. But for now, maybe we can go in the... Oh, I'll tell you what, let's go to Xavier, then Antonio, and last but not least, Archie, please. What would you do here?
So the intricacies of the vesting and whether you can be accelerated and all that kind of stuff is not my forte. I would, expect the lawyers next week to know better. What I will say here is do your due diligence on whoever this institution is. Any investor worth their salt shouldn't mind you wanting to dig into them. They're digging into you. You should dig into them as well. Not to make you paranoid. These guys might be amazing, blah, blah, blah. But there are situations when bad investors can come on, push things a certain way. I've seen it many times. I've got, in fact, a client of mine who I invested in, not inconsequential amount, and they had a big investor come on board. He persuaded them to borrow money. They couldn't pay it back, so then he bought everything for a song, kicked everyone else out, and now it was an amazing piece of tech that's going to do really well. It had just been tested and was about to go to market, and the original crew are out in the street basically. So be careful about why people want accelerated vesting, all these kind of things. Give yourself enough time to hit these milestones. Money sounds great now in your hand, but there's a lot of reasons out there that you might not hit these milestones and lose more of your company.
Yes, I completely agree with Xavier. Try to do your due diligence as much as possible. Also, try to ask them to speak to other companies that they invest in.
I was going to say exactly that. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
I missed that bit out. They shouldn't mind you wanting some references and speaking to other people who they've invested in.
Yes, because this is also, I mean, if you look at, don't look at as someone who, an investor is not always, I mean, it's not a bank. So it's not a third party that is the interest in your company should only be, I give you the money, I get the return. Most of the times, especially when Series A is a really nice milestone for a startup, because it's the moment when you start doing things in a more sophisticated way. So if someone comes on board at that stage, is someone that wants to take you to Series B, C, and forward. So maybe even dealing with private equity, start thinking about an exit. So it must be really a partner to you rather than just someone that comes on board and gets some preferential way to basically steal your company, like Xavier was saying. So it's not always the same. It's not actually. It's probably it's a minority of the case where that happens. But you need to be very careful, because at Series A, you're already developed, you already have done things that are meaningful to raise a large quantity of money, and there are people out there that could potentially take advantage of it. And if that solution doesn't suit you, give yourself time to reach the milestones, but at the same time also give yourself a range of what you consider success. So it could be like that number plus 10-20% more plus or minus. So it cannot be a very simple, straightforward number or something that sounds achievable now, but then the complications could arise in the forthcoming months, and then you find yourself in a very, very difficult spot.
Not much more to add there. Great answers. Yeah, just to reiterate, do your due diligence, and yeah, potentially even actually get on a call and have a conversation with the individual or the individuals from the company, from the strategic. Yeah, from my past experience, going back and forth with sort of doing different edits on term sheets and other documents ends up being quite confusing, and you don't understand quite often the true motives behind some of those changes. So yeah, either face to face or on a call, but best of luck.
Thank you very much for that, fellas. Helen, are you audible? Can you hear us?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Brilliant. Yes, we can. Please introduce yourself and then fire away with your question.
My name is Helen Landau. We set up a company called Schedule 9, and we work in the media. So that's more or less broadcast television, branded content, film, that type of thing. With my me and my business partner, we have done our pitch deck, so we just need to finesse it. And at the top, you're all putting in your do's and your don'ts. Particularly, I picked up on in terms of the figures. So with us, because we're not a product, we're a service. In terms of putting our finances in, it could be Captain Obvious, but I just want to double check. Would it be a case of where we would list where we would intend to where we want to spend the investment?
Thank you very much for that question. First and foremost, very well done on starting your business, Helen, and I hope it goes well. Secondly, just before I pass you on to the investors slash fundraising experts, what kind of service are you trying to provide to broadcasters? And two, why do you need the money?
So the industry has taken a bit of a hit at the moment. In terms of, there's been a lot of changes. You can see through the broadcasters, BBC, ITV, Channel 4, through news items as well. And we're just trying to pivot in a way and try and get ahead of the curve as to how the industry is changing. So what I mean by that is that I work in TV in terms of actual production making. So I'm a production executive by trade. And what that means is that effectively I'm a project manager for a program or a series. So I look at all the scheduling, budgets, clearance rights, so law, health and safety, the lot. That's part of my remit. Our job is more or less to go in and help with companies in terms of if they've got any development ideas, is that we'll go in, we'll do the budget and the scheduling, pitching to the commissioners at broadcasters or anywhere else, because a lot of these companies now are starting to slim down on their staff. So what we're trying to basically our angle is that we would go in and that we would help them out in the short term, and we can then go, or we can come in and staff them up if they get a green light.
I hear you.
Project.
Just
So that's basically what I'm on.
I hear. Just to clarify, and you'll have to forgive my ignorance when it comes to broadcasting, although I've had some exposure. So basically what you're trying to do now with this new business is go and supply your services to the production companies that want to get the commissioners to sign off on this, or you'll actually go and work on the actual program as a production executive or a producer or whatever you want to call it. Can you clarify that for me, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Bingo, both. So we can go in on a short term where we can just get them and see if they're getting green light, because it's not always necessarily guaranteed, but we can get them there. So we can do our bit, do the budget, the schedule. If the commissioner says,
so why do you need investment for that?
So in terms for us, because we're also looking at potentially as well as looking at making our own stuff as well. So that's what we're looking for the investment as well, because the barriers to entry now are lower. We can now it's now much more open to everybody, or at least in the industry, where we can make our own stuff rather than going through the channels of the major broadcasters.
That makes sense. All right. Thank you very much for that, Helen, and very well done. I'll give you my quick 2 pence, and then I'll pass you on to the experts. Number one, for a service based business, most what I would call traditional startup investors, i.e. angels, VCs and so on, they're not really keen on investing on that because it's not hyper growth potential. It's kind of labor heavy, and in my experience, Helen, a good way to understand whether you are investable or not is to think, am I going to be able to to convince XYZ investor that say £100,000 that they'll put in my company will be returned to them 33x between 5 to 10 years. That doesn't necessarily mean that you will return that, but they want to be convinced that you're going to do that. 99.99% of the time with a service-based business, that is impossible. You probably know this. So my advice is to then perhaps focus on a few other things. Number one, go to raise money from people and or institutions that traditionally invest in production rather than startup investors. Number two, there are quite a few grants, and especially as bad as people think it was, the last budget, there are a lot of grants that weren't there before in terms of the Department for Media and so on. You've got Arts Council, you've got Innovate UK, and if you reach out to me on LinkedIn, I can try and put you in touch. Oh my God, what's her name? Asha Easton, I think. She is a brilliant girl that works for Innovate UK, and she's always sharing funding opportunities for, you know, immersive stuff, for art stuff. So it might be worth getting in touch with her. But as far as this kind of investment, i.e. startup investment, is concerned, I wouldn't even look at that. So I would look at institutions, I would look at grants, I would look at philanthropic organizations, and I would look at who traditionally invests in production, right? That's one. Number two, I would look at getting jobs and getting contracts with XYZ, either of those sides that you mentioned. And if you need money to take you to the next stage, look at invoice financing. They will take a bit of the top off, but it's definitely worth it most of the time, unless your credit history is as bad as mine, and that's another story. But for most people, this could be an absolute lifesaver. I don't know if the chaps want to add anything here. Let's go to Antonio, then Archie, then Xavier. Any thoughts? If not, then we can move on.
No, I completely agree with you, Anton. I guess it goes back to the point I was making before. You need to really to find the right way to find the best investor for your business. So this kind of businesses, you can also reach out to people that have a certain interest, or people that have done it before and they or work already in that space, and they would like to do it in a different way, like you are proposing to do. So maybe they could be more interested in investing a little bit of money in that space. But otherwise, there is if it's, I should really look at your cash flow. I'm not really into media, but you can even go into a sort of debt financing from venture debt, or in general from banks or other institutions that could potentially give you a loan to get your business started, especially if you have the opportunity to close deals, like Anton was saying. If you manage even to have some letter of intent or something that could show that you can generate clients and contracts, that would be very helpful for institutions that could give you a loan or some other sort of funding.
In terms of your business as a whole, the media sector isn't an area I've had any experience. However, just going back to your question, I may have slightly misheard it at the beginning, but your question in terms of use of funds, yeah, absolutely. Include details in your deck, generally at the sort of latter end of your deck, where you're asking for the certain amount, have percentages or numbers or both in terms of where that investment is going to be going, and then you can talk alongside the reasons for that. No, if don't need to go into too much detail, that detail should be in a cash flow model, Excel, that you can share with them afterwards, probably following NDA. But yeah, best of luck.
Thank you, Mr. Barlas.
Yeah, not much more to add, really. It's I know how bad the industry is at the moment. My girlfriend is a TV producer and hasn't worked in a year. She's now working in a restaurant. So I think investors looking, you know, startup investors are going to be looking at that thinking, not really at the moment, especially as it's, you know, probably going to be more of a lifestyle business than anything else. So if you can find some debt, whether it's through the banks or, you know, any other kind of loan, I think that's probably your best outcome. And then you won't have to give away as much of the business either.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And one last advice, Helen. I've seen this work in the States, so I'm not quite sure here, but I've seen this work brilliantly well. So in the States, lobbying is way more emphasized than it is here in the UK. But here you have what they call PR companies, right? And there's a lot of them who do PR for various businesses, for various causes, and so on. It may be worth to look which of these companies are doing PR and work for causes or businesses that are relevant to what you're planning to produce. And then reach out to them and say, this is what we're working on. Would you or your clients be interested in getting involved in this? And initially, go in with the kind of the idea that, you know, I'm only picking your brains here. I'm not asking you for money. And if you see that there's a fit, go in for the kill. I hope you found that helpful, Helen.
I have. Thank you very much for your feedback for all of you. Thank you.
Very welcome and best of luck. And I'm sorry we couldn't really come up with something that was kind of more sure fit in terms of getting investment. Let's now go on to Vinay quickly. Vinay, can you hear us? Are you audible?
I can.
You can. Very good. Please introduce yourself quickly, Mr. Mansouk, and then fire away with your question, and let's see if these people can help you.
Yes, my name is Vinay Mansouk. I'm from OM Medical. I've been in the medical field for the last 25 years. Last 10 years, I've been in product development. And obviously, during the lockdown, I got redundant and the eureka moment came, what I can do. And now came up with a very innovative solution to clean the skin prior to surgery, but using biodegradable material. The market size of this product is around about 200 million units per annum. And this is the data provided by the incumbent. The incumbent have got a monopoly on this product, and their monopoly expired around about 3 years ago. And since then, I've actually developed my own delivery system, and I'm working in conjunction with Oxford and Bath University. At this present moment in time, I'm actually sort of characterizing the polymer, because the polymer that I'm using is biodegradable, and it's using feedstock as well as carbon dioxide. So what we're effectively doing is taking the CO2 out of the atmosphere and creating a polymer, and that polymer is biodegradable. Okay. So what I'm looking to do is basically, at the moment, I have got some prototypes. My level of TRL level is at 3. I'm working in conjunction with NIHR, which is the National Institute of Healthcare and Research. And basically, I'm looking for funding around about 1.5 million. The total investment total is around about 4.5 million. And that's where I am at the moment.
It's brilliant. Very well done, Vinny. This is absolutely fantastic. Vinny,
this is a global market, by the way. It's a global product, so it's, you know, it's huge opportunity.
That was going to be related to my next question. So, so 2 questions I have for you right now. In terms of where you are and what you've developed so far, I'm assuming this is pretty much ready to go, because you said prototype. So I'm assuming this is very much ready to go. Is it something that you will need, for example, if you go to the States, if you go to Europe, is it something that you'll need to spend quite some time to get licenses and what have you, or that IP that you have over that monopoly that this other company had is decent enough for you not to have to spend another 10 years to try and get into whichever markets? Can you give us a little bit?
Yeah, I think let's go in stages, first of all. because the market is huge, it's absolutely huge. So my focus at the moment is just the UK. In fact,
Okay, that's fine. So in the UK, how
Yeah.
long will you need? Are you going to need to get more sort of approvals from, let's say, if you wanted to enter the NHS? What is the roadmap here
Okay,
in a
that is.
nutshell?
Yeah, I have sorted that one out because I know the NHS quite well. And one of the reasons I'm actually working with National Institute for Healthcare and Research is they're part of, in inverted commas, part of the NHS as well. And if they see my product, and I'm working with them, with the surgeons as well. And at the moment, we're actually sort of modifying the product slightly to the surgeon's liking. And if they like it and they invest in terms of grant, in fact, if I'll be honest with you, there was a grant application, but unfortunately I did not apply, and the closing date is tomorrow. I did not apply because I needed to get to certain level, a TRL 3 and above, and I'm at the moment at TRL 3. I've got 2 outstanding work packages to be done so that my product becomes more credible. Now, that said, I have actually have applied previously to Innovate UK around about 860,000 pounds, but I was not successful, partly because, obviously I needed academia on board. Now that I have, obviously it's looking very, very promising.
Okay, so in a nutshell, then I guess my question is expanded now. How long are you going to need to get to a place where you have a product that is ready to go to market? And once you have that, how long will it take roughly to get the NHS to approve it? Is it something that you're going to need a lot of licenses and a lot of testing and all that jazz? Time-wise, how long are we talking about?
I think if I can break it down in TRL level, which is basically, I think most of the investors, professional investors, know what I'm talking about. At the moment, I'm at level 3, but and level 7 is pre-manufacture. So basically, the next level is now to have real prototypes developed in the real world and to be tested. Also, I need to do the regulatory framework as well. So compliance issue with MRHA, that takes a good part of £200,000. So looking at around about 1.5 million all in all in terms of developing the product pre-manufacture.
Time-wise?
Time-wise, 2 years.
2 years. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for that.
Furthermore, I've also looked at manufacturing of the products, and I'm at the moment in discussion with the Italian manufacturer. In my initial was to buy the machinery, but that was out of the question because the whole machinery and the project would be 4.6 million.
No,
probably would
don't
be cheaper.
do that.
Well, obviously I'm using CMOs, so CMOs are much cheaper and obviously it's probably the better way of doing it anyway.
And how much money have you got to keep the lights on? For how long can you keep the lights on in terms of run?
At the moment, I've exhausted all my funding at the moment. So I personally have invested around 150,000. So I'm literally on the last strand, so to speak, and I'm waiting for probably about another grant applications to come through.
I hear. Okay, that is not a good position to be in. Right,
No.
I'll give you my quick 2 pence and then pass you on to the investors. Number one, I would focus strongly here on the grant session. You've got NHS Innovation. There are a couple of new sort of semi-NHS, but also externals that are working on that. You've got the Horizon scheme. That is connected with Innovate UK, and I would definitely look at getting involved with even more institutions / companies like that Italian company that you mentioned. They're giving grants, up to 15 million. And
I'm
then
looking into that at the moment, so
brilliant. And don't worry about not getting that Innovate UK grant, because guess what? The ratio is about 2% of people that apply do get it. So you just got to keep trying. And definitely, in order to get some lights on right now, I would look at angels, Vinay. I would look at angels who've either had a company in a similar field and they recently exited. When I say recently, I mean in the last 5 years. Or 2, go to angels who actually have invested in that. Where are you based exactly, Vinay?
I'm based in Harrow.
Perfect.
You know.
So what you do is you get to the City of London offices. There's something called SBREC, and there you can use for free Bolhurst, which is probably the UK's most extensive data platform for investment and startups. And
What's
there
it
you
called?
can research. SBREC, Small Business Research something in the City of London. So the City of London Corporation. There you can use this stuff for free, and you can research all the startups that exited, that raised money, the investors, the angels, and all that jazz. Find a list of all the angels that are related to this, reach out to them on LinkedIn, and try to speak to as many that have done stuff in a similar field. But at the same time, you look at Innovate UK, you look at NHS Innovation, and you look at Horizon Scheme. And also, feel free to send me a message on LinkedIn, and I'll see if I can come up with some specific people. But
Okay.
for now, let's go to Archie, then Javier, and then Antonio, please.
I must admit, this isn't an area I've got great experience in. Everything Anton put there to you sounds very good, and I completely agree there with going to the angels. It's, especially in the medical field, actually receiving investment at this moment in time is particularly tricky. Investors have been moving later stage, in particular in the therapeutic side, slightly de-risked companies further along on their FDA approval, clinical trials, stages. But yeah, I'll hand over quickly to the other guys. But best of luck.
Yeah, also not, I'm not totally au fait with this industry and how to get to funding, but going back to the grants, I don't know if you've ever worked with grant companies who will be able to navigate that landscape for you. A good friend of mine called Kweku is on, I can't remember what day what day is it for that, Anton?
No, it's fundraising, but unfortunately,
it's also fundraising. We just haven't
yeah,
crossed
but
it.
it's been a while. He hasn't been able to join us. Maybe you can nudge him a little bit and tell him that there are potential clients here, and he's missing out on a lot.
Yeah. Okay, I shall try and nudge him. But yeah, so there's companies like Granttree. They will, they'll charge a commission on whatever they find for you, but they obviously, this is what they do all the time, so they will be able to help you target as many different grants as possible. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I will add to what all the others were saying that if you want to raise a 1.5 million is a big amount. Try, if possible, to break it down into the different components. You also said that it might take you like 2 years, so try maybe to split different amounts. Maybe you need, I don't know, half a million in the next 6 months, and then you need another million for the remaining period, and then half a million as for the last 2 or 3 months of the production of your solution. So try to, if you go out with a massive amount that you want to, as you ask, it's going to be even more complicated to fundraise. Also, try to see if there are any trusts available in the UK that could potentially be interested in the solution that you are bringing to the market, and eventually they could give you a bit of funding.
I'm trying to work with, I had a recent meeting with the guys in St. Thomas's Hospital.
Okay.
So at the moment we are actually sort of talking, and let's see how the development takes place. Because every big trust have a commercialization department, and maybe probably worth having a chat with them in more detail.
Yeah, I know them because I used to work in a startup, helping one startup that was trying to have a pilot with them, and they are generally very, very supportive. Not extremely, fast in responding, but they are very, very supportive for startups. So
definitely. definitely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vinay, can I ask you a quick question?
Indeed, of course.
What do you think it's the main priority of going on to a first date with somebody?
Sorry, say that again. I lost
What
you.
is the main goal when you go on a first date with somebody?
Try to find as much information about them as possible.
The main goal is to get a second date. So
That's a good one.
I really like Antonio's idea that, you know, whilst it may be difficult to raise 1.5 in one go, see what you can do to raise as much that will take you to the next stage, and then the next stage, and then the
Yeah, of
next
course.
stage.
Yes.
That might be worth doing.
Yeah,
But
it's more workable.
best of luck.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Best
I
of
will
luck, and feel
contact you,
free
Anton.
to.
I will contact
Please,
you by LinkedIn.
please feel free to do so. And also, in terms of, you know, if you have any other questions in the future, we'd love to hear from you. So feel free to join us again, whether it's about fundraising or some of the other sessions that we run. So quick reminder to everybody, we run 6 regular sessions: Monday's talent, Tuesday's product and tech, Wednesday's growth, Thursday's fundraising, second Friday of each month, UK startup law, third Friday of each month, UK startup finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. They're all paneled with some of the top people in the UK startup ecosystem. They're all free, and you can RSVP to any of them via our website, startup2scaleup.club. And there you basically just pick whichever session in the future you want to join, click join, quick registration on Luma. And with Luma, the beauty of it is that you only need to register once on Luma, and then the other future registration on either our sessions or any other event that you have, you've already registered, so you don't need, it's just a click then after that, basically. But feel free to do so. Now, we've got 3 minutes to go. Hopefully these 3 gentlemen have time for one more question. Aud, are you audible?
Yes, hello.
Hi. Please
Hi.
introduce yourself and fire away with your question.
Sure. So I'm the founder of Ikigai Limited. It's a mindset change content company. So we blend Japanese and Western philosophy with a little bit of productivity method to make it really tangible and practical. And I've been on your program some months ago, and Mr. Ballister suggested to me to set up a YouTube channel in order to see if there was any traction. Now my YouTube channel, so it was about 5 months ago. So I started 5 months ago. My YouTube channel has over 4,000 subscribers, about 4.4. and 100,000 views. I have been approached also by a unicorn company to discuss partnerships, and a business company has published a cover page and article about me, knowing that my background is I have a disability, I have Ehlers-Danlos, and the fact that I was working as a director in financial services management consulting, but also in entrepreneurship and traveling the world, they thought that, you know, my background was a little bit different. So now that it seems that I have traction and product market fit, my obviously what I want to do is to monetize all of this and to get advantage of the traction. So to develop some type of platform depending of my budget and what I can invest in it. And I have found some venture capital firms that invest in entrepreneurs, so in people first, in early like pre-seed stage. And I was wondering what you feel would be if it would be the right time to do it, knowing that I have quite a lot of demand, and I don't want to miss that opportunity of partnership with that unicorn company, but obviously I would need to hire people to be able to, you know, go on with this partnership. So I was wondering what your thoughts would be and how you would handle it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aude. Aude, can I quickly ask you just to remind us again, so what is it exactly, the service that you want to provide with Ikigai?
Yeah,
and
sure.
if you don't mind dropping the link of the YouTube channel now. I think I found you via LinkedIn, and I found Ikigai Ltd on YouTube. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
And by the way,
Ikigai_Limited.
Indeed. So, by the way, this is brilliant. You've managed to get 4,390 subscribers in a few months, and it seems you only have 19 videos. I think I need some lessons from you on how to get that done.
Yeah,
but that's a different thing. What I'm asking here is, in terms of your business, what is it exactly that you're offering? And two, if you can give us a quick explanation in terms of that partnership that you said from that unicorn, you know, what kind of partnerships are we talking? Do they want to advertise their business through your videos? What is it exactly that they want to do?
Okay, so let me just start with like my vision. So if I would win the lottery tomorrow, really what I would like to do is to develop an ecosystem. So based on an app, a web app that would be global, and where people like users would be able to have all types of content. So there would be like audio tracks, videos, digital products, but also I would love to be able to have the money to be able to invest in new technologies like AI, virtual reality, because I'd like my ecosystem to be like an escapism. So the whole point of all of that is to be able to empower people. The reason, you know, the origin of Ikigai Limited is based on my own experience and having to deal with my own chronic illness and chronic pain. I couldn't find an app, or I couldn't find a one place that I could get empowered, that I would find the next step, that I would find. There was always like in you know, all those self-help book, whatever. Oh, you need to wake up at 5 to get like ice cold bath.
Basically an ecosystem for self-help, right?
It's self-help, it's empowerment, but it's based on 1,000-year-old, you know, philosophy, Japanese mindset. So I'm very keen on. I don't know if you know really the world of the, you know, samurais. So on the Bushido rules.
I have some exposure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, of like those principles. I used to use them in business when I was in the US. But it's like when I was feeling really stuck with my chronic illness, I used them on myself. And I used Kaizen, I used Ikigai, Wabi-Sabi, and I thought it was great. And I used also, you know, philosophy from Aristotle, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, etc. And because I'm an ex-management consultant, in order to track my progress, I used also productivity methods like the 80-20 principle, and those types of methods. So what I would love to be able to do is to create that ecosystem that would empower people, but also bring them into a safe place that is not judgmental. It's not somewhere where people would get you know, someone to teach them or to coach them per se, but it's to empower them to make, because you know, everyone is different and everyone is in a different place or different circumstances. So it's for them to make the move, but to give them the tools in order to thrive.
I fully understand, Aude. I fully understand that. And we are 4 minutes over the line.
Yeah,
anyway, so
I understand. So in terms of the unicorn, it's it's a well, obviously being Unicorn, really large group, and they have 5 different apps. So they have an ecosystem themselves, and it's an ed tech company. So they're looking for a custom type of partnership, so whereby I would advertise their service, but I could also help them because my background is in new product development to develop and to create synergies within their apps.
I hear. Okay, here's my quick 2 pence. Go with whatever you can get partnerships with. In terms of what to do for this, try and look for accelerators, try and look for some grants, and just try and get some money, because in a way, this is a content-led business. And therefore, the best way to start getting something is through brands and brand partnerships and some kind of sponsorship. That's my advice. That's what I would focus on. Unfortunately, we haven't got a lot of time to go into a lot of detail, but I think it's next week or the week after, we have somebody from Bethnal Green Ventures. They also have some good accelerator programs, and they go into businesses like yours. One of their partners, Dharma, will join us, so please keep an eye out for that. But I don't know if maybe Xavier, Antonio, and Archie want to add anything here.
Well, I can.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say as well, accelerators. You've got the basis now. You've got something to work from. So I think accelerators might be able to help shape it further and also introduce you to money. I would do because of the beneficial aspect of what you're doing and helping people, overcome and use that power of the journey of overcoming in order to move forward. That there could be some grants available as well. So I would also talk to companies like Granttree and see whether you can't find some money like that, which will then help you be able to service this opportunity with a unicorn.
Okay, thank
Absolutely. I like the grant thing. And send me a message to remind me, and I'll put you in touch with this Asha Eastern lady at Innovate UK as well, Lord, because you mentioned the immersive stuff. Sorry, Antonio.
Yes, the
go ahead,
issue is that I have a chronic illness, and they do not want to give me a grant because I cannot reimburse it.
No. Grants, Innovate UK doesn't work like that. No. That is not it's not a loan, Ord, so don't worry.
Okay, all right, I understand.
Yeah,
That's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Antonio?
Well, I think yes. I mean, you have a great story that can, to go back to the point where you need to in the do's, where that I said you need to build empathy with your investors. So it's a great story that especially what you achieved in a very crowded environment like YouTube in few months is a excellent result. What I would also suggest you is when you speak to the unicorn company. I mean, they've gone through the same journey that you are starting now. So try to see if there is also the willingness to build a two-way relationship. Like, because if I understood correctly, there is something that you provide to them, but also something that you can get. So try to see whether there could be kind of some revenue sharing, or maybe they give you some money up front to build your whatever they need, customized version of what you do.
I think it's like one thing they said they might be willing. I mean, you never know.
Yeah. So I mean,
they would be willing to do co-branding.
Okay, but also try to see if they could give you some money up front, so they could be either your investor, or some kind of partnership where they give you the money up front, and then you give them the money that you earn in different forms or shapes. So try to build a connection and establish a stronger relationship with them, so that they can help you to get going. Because all the activities, I mean, if you go to grants, to accelerators, or through fundraising, is going to take you some time. So if your time frame is a little bit shorter, then try to see whether they could be the one helping you at least at the very beginning, while you find other sources of funding.
That's a very good idea. Thank you for that. I appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much. And last but not least, Archie, any thoughts on this, buddy?
Well, first of all, yeah, congratulations on getting it to such a stage, in particular the YouTube channel. Really quite phenomenal building that in the last few months. In terms of it, well, I just really agree with the other guys. Building empathy is what is naturally really important for any relationship between an investor and a startup, and in particular in your situation, it will benefit you in the long term, especially with the grant makers. Going down the grant route sounds sensible, but you know, as with a few other questions today, it's not my field, but I have seen a number of social impact investors, ones that focus on diversity, and then also in areas of disability. I don't have any names to hand or to the top of my mind, but there are some out there in the UK. So, you know, go for grants, keep that conversation going on with the unicorns, you say, or the angel group. Look at syndicates, but then, you know, thinking longer term, hopefully you'll get through this over this first episode. Thinking long term, start courting and speaking to that investor that you, or the VC that you want to come into the next round. So yeah, best of luck.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. We are now 11 minutes over the line. Sorry, Haidar and the others. We're not going to have time to answer any more questions. And please bear that in mind. You know, let this be a good lesson. Next time when you join us, drop your question from the very beginning, because unfortunately, we've only got an hour and it's not fair to keep the panelists longer than that. So please join us next time. Hopefully, Haidar, we can help you in our next fundraising Q&A, which is next Thursday. But also, I'll put a link in the chat, which is for our fundraising Q&A. If you join that group, maybe ask a question there. Others might be able to help you now rather than wait until next Thursday. But if it's not that urgent, you know, you can also wait until next week and ask the question at the beginning. Now, being 12 minutes over the line, I'm not going to ask our panelists for any parting words, because we are way over the line, but a couple of quick things and then my parting words. Number one, please bear in mind that we run 6 regular events: Monday's Talent, Tuesday's Product and Tech, Wednesday's Growth, Thursday's Fundraising, second Friday of each month it's UK Startup Law, and third Friday of each month it's UK Startup Finances. That all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. That all available on our site, startuptoscaleup.club. And actually, when you're there, you may also want to join our WhatsApp communities. We've got some nice groups of founders, investors, operators, of course, our panelists, and please feel free to join us. A quick reminder to those of you that are on the live streams, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or now also Twitter/X, please bear in mind that unfortunately we are unable to monitor your questions live. So if you do want to ask us anything, you'll have to join us on Microsoft Teams. Quickest way to do that is to go to our website, startuptoscaleup.club. So again, it's startuptoscaleup.club. You go there, find whichever future session you want to join, click join. It's a quick registration on Luma. And you only need to register once, by the way, on Luma. And then after that, it's just a click on whichever session you want to join. And then you'll be able to find the link for the Microsoft Teams call. And by the way, because these are audio only, it means you can join us from whatever platform or device you are. And it doesn't matter whether you're walking your dog, working from a shared office, cooking lunch, having lunch, changing baby nappies, or doing whatever other activity. Is very easy to tune in. Now, as far as my parting words are concerned, just remember the startup journey can be both exciting, but also quite challenging. So try to have some fun in the meantime and be kind to yourself and everyone else for that matter too. Otherwise, have a great afternoon. God bless you all. And hopefully see you next Monday for Startup Talent Q&A, where we help founders find, keep, hire, and empower the right people in your startup. Thank you. Bye-bye for now.